Back off. I'm hearing cracking.
Hello, my name is Brucey. As some of you may know, I recently installed this Ironman suspension lift on my car. They make a lot of claims and I'm going to be testing some of those. This is my sketchy ramp. I built it completely out of scrap wood, so it cost me nothing. I'm never going to spend any money. The purpose of this ramp is to test the travel on the suspension. According to my math, it's right around 20 degrees. So there is a test in off-roading called the RTI test, or Ramp Travel Index test, that needs a 20-degree ramp. The purpose of this test is to test the travel on the suspension. That is how much this wheel can travel before it lifts off the ground. The reason that you want that is because if you lift a wheel off the ground, you've got a quarter less traction. So ideally you want all four wheels on the ground at the same time. While the Subaru Outback does have a party trick, insert shot here. Having all four wheels on the ground is still preferred to having three or even two in the ground. First, we're going to drive up the ramp that I built on the stock suspension on a 2-inch ADF lift, and then we're going to try it with this new 2-inch Ironman lift and see if there's any difference. So this is test number 1 on my sketchy ramp. I'm marking it right at that screw. I think you can see that mark there. I got it in nice purple. So, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm basically right at that same point, which is great, which means I just need one more shot for the sake of YouTube. That is right on the same line, which makes me very happy because I've got 3 very repeatable tests. All right, let's see what it's like after we put on the new strut lift.
Back off. I'm hearing cracking.
How far did it go?
Back off. I'm hearing cracking.
How far did it go?
Your back wheel's off. Ugh. Your back wheel's off.
Well, as soon as it's BDC activated, I stopped. Wow.
Dude, you're 6 inches above that.
Width or length?
Length.
All right then. So that is going to be the 2-inch ramp test. As you can see, I measured right around 5 inches. It was actually 5 1/16 inch extra travel, but I just rounded down to 5. Once the wheelbase is factored in for this test, that shows a pretty significant improvement between the 2 suspensions. So that's great news. Another benefit that Ironman claims is that the rear suspension is what they call overload coils, or it's designed for heavy load. You can buy aftermarket overload springs for the factory suspension that lift the rear end a little bit and give it a stronger spring rate so that it doesn't sag as much. The reason I'd say that's important is because lots of people put a lot of weight into the vehicle. I know one guy, I'm going to post him here, hi Chris, that has 1,000 pounds in his Crosstrek, and when I saw that vehicle last, you could tell it had 1,000 pounds in it. It looked like it was carrying 2,000 pounds actually. It sat pretty low. For the weight test, I don't have any easily accessible weights at the moment, or at least enough to be 1,000 pounds worth consistently. So I'm going to use a couple large containers of water and fill them up. Right now in the back, I don't have anything. I've got some empty big old totes and a promotional cooler from the 90s. So to simulate load, the load on this car is rated for around 1,000 pounds, 500 kilograms. I'm going to fill all these up with water. I just did a test with this one, and once it got past this ridge, it really started to bow out with all the water, so I'm only going to fill these to this point. These are 45-gallon totes. I think combined that's going to put them in the 60 to 65 gallon range, and then this guy I might fill up and maybe add one more. Let's find out. Right now, with no load in the car, there's no real weight in the car, I'm at right at 5 inches. Yeah, 5 inches between the center of, can you see that? Between the center and the tread of the tire. So let's put a couple dozen gallons of water in it and see how it likes that. Well, this certainly feels weird, but that is a lot of water in the car. As you can see, it's not setting level. I'm going to use this video as a reference and try to match it as much as I can. It shouldn't be off too much. I'm going to start filling this one, and in the meantime I went and grabbed 90 pounds of weights. So there's two 45-pound weights on either side, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill this tub, and then I'm going to fill this. We're going to see what we look like. Alright, so we've now got these two roughly full, or excuse me, not full, but roughly even. They're both right on that ridge. As you can see, it looks like the car's actually sagging. It was level at one point, I swear. I've also got this cooler filled with water. I'll find a volume data on this and convert it to gallons so I can get a rough estimate on weight. And I think I'm going to add one more cooler just for weight. And remember, we've got two 45-pound weights on either side of the car. So 90 pounds, I'm shooting for 1,000 pounds here of weight. In addition to the 90s promotional cooler, I also decided to add the half-melted cooler. I filled it up to approximately 1 inch from the top lip because I don't think this seals, so I didn't want to take that risk. As you can see though, there's plenty of weight in the car, so let's see how much that affected the height of the suspension. So before I was at 5 inches, now I'm at roughly 3.5. If you can see that, actually, more like 3 and a. Now I'm at 3, so we lost 2 inches of lift with the weight in the car. So we'll use that as the baseline. All right, here we are. We're now not on ADF. If you can see the green in there. Apparently not. But we're gonna do the same test. Gonna load it up to this line. You can tell it's been a week because this crate's dirty, even though I had a lid on it. Must not have been sealed. And then I'm going to put these two in. Let's get started. So height, we're going to call that 3.5. Almost right on the dot, maybe a 16th. Just for the sake of posterity, again, I have the cooler set up in the same location. I have a weight on each side. I have the surge cooler filled with water. I have this cooler filled with water. And I have these two back here filled with water. So the weight should be approximately the same. There will be a margin of error here, but this is just to show how much it's going to sag based on weight. All right, YouTube. I don't think it did very good. Before we were at 3.5. at 1.5, 1 3/8, let's call it.
You're wondering how I got the water out? I just used a hose and siphoned it. More people should know about siphoning, since it's just water. Probably got a little sawdust, but I spit it out. This will now siphon until it's empty, or at least until the level is below, which, since it's below, will be empty.
So that concludes my weight test. I am a little disappointed that Ironman claimed that the spring rate was higher when my test showed it was about equal. And in fact, because I only had the 2-inch lift and not a 2.5-inch like the ADF was in the rear, I actually started out with a lower height and I ended with a lower height. So it's not a deal breaker if you don't carry a lot of weight. I definitely think this is still the way to go. Hope this video helps somebody. Thanks for watching.